She's been in the industry for 32 years now.
It would be 31.
31 years. Yeah. Dysfunctional Friends, Think Like a Man, Eve's Bayou, Jump the Broom. I mean, all of these things. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Meagan Good. Are you actually going by Meagan Good Franklin right now?
It's legally Meagan Good Franklin, but I go by Meagan Good.
You still?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I still I prefer people call me Miss Franklin if they're gonna say Miss.
I love that. Can I call you Miss Franklin this whole
Absolutely.
time? Yes, Miss Franklin. That's what I'm talking about. You get a man to be like, call me Miss Franklin, please. Thanks. I love that. Okay, so how you been?
I've been good. I've been really good.
Yes. What you got going on? What's happening?
Man. Well, I have a new film coming out on January 28th, and it's called Love by the 10th Date, and it's for me really exciting because I was looking at some of the feedback online, and people, by the grace of God, are excited to see it. But some people were like, "This feels like a character you've played before," and I'm like, "No, it actually isn't. This character, when you really get to see her, she's so quirky. She's so optimistic and almost like childlike, but she's also a little bit like delusional and a little bit offbeat. And so for me, it was more of that kind of Lucille Ball kind of comedy.
Wow.
Where it was a lot of physical comedy for me, where I got to just be like a lot of the goofy person that I really am. And I got to be really corny and just like, that's a lot of who I really am.
Yeah.
So it is a different character for me and a side I haven't really got a chance to show. And the cast is amazing. Carrie Hilson and Kelly Rowland and Kelly Stewart. And I mean, it's just...
It's an amazing cast.
Yeah. And
really
so amazing.
Yeah.
Like beautiful women inside out. And not every time you work with other women are people always warm. I mean, a lot of times they are, but sometimes they're not. And these girls are just so lovely. And so it's great.
I feel like so I have a Meagan story, right? So I have not Miss Franklin. I have a Miss Franklin story. So 10 years ago, I was sitting at, I just moved about 9, 10 years ago. I had just moved here from New Orleans, and I went to a party, and I think it was like Usher's birthday celebration or something.
Okay.
Do you remember this?
Was it the masquerade?
Something.
Party?
It was something.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Okay.
So it was around the time when I guess you used to address people like by brother and sister.
I still do.
Sister. Oh, you still do
Yeah.
that. So what happened was, just picture me standing there. I turned around and there's Meagan. I'm like, hey girl, hey. And I was like, just weird, hey. And she all of a sudden she's like, sister. So what happened was one of her friends was behind me, and I was like, hey, like I thought she was talking to me, but she wasn't. But I played it off though. I was like, sister. I just thought it was so funny. So every time I think of Miss Franklin, that's what I think of. I'm like, man, I hope she just, I was excited. Do you hear me? I was excited about being addressed. And she was like, and then a girl came and was like, Meagan. I was like, the whole time. So it was just so much fun.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so crazy.
It was so long ago.
Everything always comes full circle.
Yeah, and then we're sitting here. Can I get a sister just off GP?
Sister!
Yes! I love that. So let's talk a little bit, because I feel like since then, or since that moment when I saw you, I feel like there's been such an evolution. How would you describe, I mean, literally, like, I feel like I've grown up with you. I mean, I think we're about the same age, and you're just one of those actresses where I feel like I've just watched you progress. And, I was watching videos the other day, and I was like, I don't know this Meagan. Like, I don't know her. I mean, I don't know her, but, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how would you describe this evolution, or how where you are in your life?
It's weird because I don't feel that different at the core. I've always been a Christian, and I got saved when I was 12 and baptized on my own when I was 19. I've always tried to be kind to other people and try to just treat people the way that I want to be treated. I've always been like, try to just be humble and never believe your own hype. And, I've always tried to be the best person I could be. So I think the evolution of, being a child actor and doing the whole Nickelodeon Disney thing, and then becoming a young woman, and the struggle of trying to prove, that I'm not a kid anymore. I may look like I'm 15, but I am 20 years old, And I think that was kind of, at that time was about 21 was when I did the 50 Cent question,
Right.
21 questions video.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I kind of became more of like a sex pot,
Right, it was
sexy
sexy.
symbol thing.
Absolutely.
Which for me, I was super excited about at that time because I was like, yay, I'm finally a woman, I'm so excited. And then, then at my mid-20s, it worked against me because trying to get characters that were more substantial were hard when people thought, oh, well, she's just attractive, and didn't think that I had anything else to give.
Right.
But if you went back to Eve's Bayou or something like that, you would know that I do have more to give.
Absolutely.
And then also as actors, we just always continue to evolve and grow and grow and grow. You'll never stop growing. You'll never stop getting better if you keep putting in the work. And then, mid-20s was kind of a rough time for me because that was when the internet came out really heavy and people were able to, access anything and everything that you were doing. And even though I wasn't doing anything that I was ashamed of, I was doing what any 24 or 25-year-old was, People had access to negatively speak into your life and kind of judge and say, well, this is who you are, you're the party girl. And I'm like, no, I'm actually the Jesus freak. Like, yeah, I may dress sexy, yes, I may go out, I hang out with my friends, have a good time, but that doesn't change who I am at the core and what's in my heart and the quality of the human being I am. I'm just walking this thing out like everybody else, And I think through my 20s too was also a very rebellious time. Because of that judgment, I'm a Leo, and I don't like to be caged. I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like people to try to manipulate my direction. I don't like to be judged. I don't like any of that.
Yeah.
Like most people don't.
Right.
But my reaction to it was different. My reaction was like, oh, really? Okay, I'm going to show you. And at that time, there was a part of like, I'd started smoking when I was about 19. And it was just something that I tried, and it was something that actually stuck. And I think the reason it stuck so long is because so many people judged me for it. So I held on to it tighter.
Wow.
It was like, oh, don't smoke, you're too pretty. What do you mean?
Right.
Hold on a second.
As you were saying.
Yeah, so I think I had a lot of a rebellious attitude, and it took me to my late 20s to realize that worked against me. It's like, yeah, I could be bold and do what I wanted to do, but it wasn't good for my health, and either was any type of other negative behavior that was spawned from feelings of pain from somebody else's opinion of how, who they thought I was. Not even how I was living my life, but who they thought I was. And so, around my late 20s is when I just started really making changes and really trying to evaluate what do you really want?
Right.
And
You're approaching that 30-year mark.
Yeah,
You're like,
girl.
I need to get my life together.
I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And around 29 is when I did Jumping the Broom. And
Which I loved.
thank you.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because, I was in a relationship at that time. I'd been with the person for almost 4 years at that point, and I had moved out of LA to be in Florida with that person.
Wow.
And I would fly home for auditions, but I also was eating on their kind of regimen, but they were working out all the time, and I never really had to work out before. So I gained 27 pounds on a 5'2.5" frame.
Wow.
And people thought I was pregnant, and it I got this one job where they were like, you're gonna need to lose weight.
Yeah.
You have 3 weeks or you won't be working on this movie. And so I just when I got around to Jumping the Broom, by then I lost the weight, but I just started really evaluating my life, what do I want? And at that time, Devon and I had already known each other for probably about 5 or 6 years, but we didn't know each other well. It was in passing. He was an executive at a studio, I was an actress, we had had a general meeting years before, and it was that's dope that you're a Christian in this industry and you want to use that base to really promote the kingdom. So that's what we connected on, and that was cool. But it wasn't until Jumping the Broom that I actually got a chance to be around him a little bit more and get to know him a little better. And, that was the gist of it. I thought he was cute, but I was like, I'm in a relationship. And I remember one night we all went out as cast and crew, and someone tried to hit on me. And I was joking around. I was like, oh no, I'm with my boyfriend. I met my husband, to Devon. And there was something that felt like deja vu to me, and I was like, that was weird. And then I remember when I was leaving there, I told my good girlfriend, Joelle, I was like, that's the kind of guy I wish I could marry, And what was interesting to me was that everything I experienced growing up in the business, everything that I experienced as a child with my mom and dad separating, all the things that I experienced growing up, the stuff from, the internet, all that kind of, those things had left someone who was so overly confident feeling unworthy.
Yeah, the businesses. I was about to ask you, did
Crazy.
you feel undeserving of
Yeah,
a
I
man
think
like
I did.
that? Wow.
And it's crazy because I could still, on the flip side, be completely confident in who I was and who I am and what I have to offer, and still feel unworthy at the same time.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So I came back from Nova Scotia, which was where we filmed Took Me the Broom, and I got out of the relationship that I was in, and I just started praying. I was like, Lord, what do I need to be doing? And over the course of those few months, as I continued to pray, one of the things that he told me was that Devon was my husband. And I was like, all right. And so I didn't reach out to Devon at all. I just spent the next 9 months working on myself, and also deciding to become celibate. And when Devon and I ultimately got together, it was 10 months we were engaged, and 2 months later we were married.
Wow.
And I think part of my evolution has been because of that, and not because it's fully the facts, but because it's the perception. I think that people's perception of me began to change a bit.
Oh no. Oh no. Is it? Oh, Salon, you gotta come back, baby. Or come in. Which one?
She's gone.
Okay. I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay, girl.
That's
Hey,
how we
we
do it
fine.
around here. It's, people
They
come in,
fine.
they stop by and say, hey.
But
Okay.
you with the, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No. So, let's roll on it again. Dang,
So-
she was just saying. Yeah, so, okay.
So,
Just do me.
okay, should I pick it up from there?
Yes.
I have to pick it up from there. So, at that time I actually, no. Okay, so I was talking about perception.
Yes.
So at that time, when me and Devon first got together, I'd actually gotten the show Deception. But this is before him and I got married, so we were dating. And so for me, it was the chance to play a leading woman on a TV show on a network that hadn't had a woman of color be a lead on the show in 30-something years before Diane Carroll. And I think that role was really a huge part of people perceiving me differently.
It's true.
And then I got married right after that, and then it was like, oh, she's married to a pastor, and I'm like, actually, I'm not married to a pastor, I'm married to a minister, but okay. And then it's just been like this, part of it has been career, part of it has been my marriage and my relationship, and everything really just changed in my 30s. I got opportunities I never had before, and people just saw me different and just gave me a chance, and that's what it's been for the last few years, and it's been great, and it's been such a blessing, and then to be in ministry as well, and all of that, it's been pretty incredible.
It's relationship goals. That's what it is. That's awesome. I think that's amazing. So a lot of our audience are aspiring actors, obviously. In this community, we have, actors that come in and they're always looking for advice.
Yeah.
So I do a little segment where I have just whoever the celebrity is that's in the building, just kind of talk a bit about.
Your little face though, it's pretty bright red. That's okay.
So we just talk a little bit about your journey. So in the business, how have you, in this business, how have you kept your relevancy and just staying afloat? Because to me, you always kind of just stayed, even though there was the perception, you stayed working, you stayed hustling. Like we just, I just always saw you, even in spite of everything that you just said. So what do you think that is? What do you think that is, and how do you do that? So a lot of people don't do that in this industry.
I think it's authenticity. I think that when you don't try to conform to something because that's what's popular at the time, or that's what is getting the most attention, or that's what people expect from you, you can maintain your integrity and your authenticity. And your authenticity, the most beautiful thing about it is nobody can be you, and nobody can do what you can do the way that you can do it. Even if you have a sister that has the same mom, the same dad, she's still not you, and you're not her. And I think it's not about trying to be the prettiest actress or the most talented actress or all of that. It's just about being the best me. and continuing to grow and continuing to stay true to who I am at the core. And I think that in God really is what has allowed me to stay afloat, in those seasons when, there were strikes and writer strikes and all kinds of stuff. But by the grace of God, I've been able to work, and I know it's really what He's allowed. He's allowed me to get this far, and He'll allow me to get to wherever He wants me to go. So I think, putting in the work also, you've got to meet God halfway. You can't just be like, Lord, please make this happen for me. It's like, Lord, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm, keeping myself in shape. I'm studying, I'm going to classes, I'm learning, random dialogue just to learn it, to keep my brain fresh. I'm taking my ginkgo, I'm taking my fish oil, whatever it is, just being completely proactive, and meeting God halfway.
Is there ever a time when you wanted to leave the business? Because you said you moved out of the city, so was that like a...
No, that was me being young and in love.
Okay.
And I was like, wherever you go, I'll go, And then I was like, what am I doing? That's crazy. Let that be a sign, girls. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
You got your purpose, and, if that man doesn't fit into that purpose, not you fit into his, then that ain't the one.
Miss Franklin.
That's real life. Wait, what was that? I want to make sure I answered that right.
So did you ever consider leaving the industry? I mean, I don't know what you would go and be an accountant. I don't know what
I would go get tatted up from head to toe, or at least have one good sleeve, and live somewhere in Europe and probably do photography and small films if I was going to do something else.
Well, that's still film related. That don't count.
It's not, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be in front of
nurse.
the camera though. I'd be behind the camera.
Oh, you would make movies.
Yeah, which I think I will ultimately do anyways.
For sure.
But I would do the kind of films where I don't care if you go see it or not. I'm doing it because I want to make art, Or I don't know. I might do mission work somewhere in Africa or something like that. I don't know.
Had you considered leaving the industry? Ever?
Once. I just had finished with a project that was very grueling. The hours were extremely intense. There were a lot of hands in the pot. I felt a bit creatively stifled, and I felt so much pressure, and I wasn't getting nearly enough rest. And I was away from my family, and it was emotionally exhausting, it was physically exhausting, it was spiritually exhausting, and it got to a point where the stress was so intense that I would start actually forgetting my lines. And it wasn't like when you're on set and you forget your line, you're like, what is it? Oh, right, there it is. So, it was like, what is it? What is it? And it was just like, and then the intensity of forgetting like that, and feeling like people were looking at me like I was amateur. And somebody even asked me, one of the directors on that asked me if, what else I had worked on if it was my first project. And I was like, oh, it was intense. But it really kind of made me insecure at the time, and really kind of broke my spirit a bit. And when I came back home, I felt like I had PTSD. Like I had been to war and was just happy that I made it home. And the feelings I felt were so intense that there was a moment where I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And but then when I got home and I really prayed about it, and then I went on to do another job after that. My first day, I remember getting to set, and I was like walking on eggshells. I was like, am I even good? I don't even know. And I did my first scene, and I was completely nervous. And the director came back, and he was just like, that was awesome, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, thanks. And then I saw my second day's work, and I was like, okay, there she is. Okay, we're back, But what I learned was that for me to get to where I want to go, I have to be completely equipped, and I have to be able to handle every situation that comes, and I have to be strong and be able to really know that I can persevere no matter what I'm feeling. And that's what I did in that circumstance. I made it work because I had to make it work. And so I learned that it was not just a lesson, but it was a blessing. And now I feel like there's nothing I can't do. I feel like how I felt there was the worst that I ever felt. So I don't think I could feel any worse than that. So I'm like, well, dang, if I made it through that, I'm good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, amen and amen.
Amen. So is there anything that you would, in terms of like working in the business, is there anything that you
can say it however you want to say it.
no, right? Because I don't want to like.
You don't have to be.
Yeah, I don't have to be.
I'm
Okay. Just an open book? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take it back to Devon. So, can you officially tell, because we've talked about Devon, but we haven't talked about Devon like on camera. So, can you tell us a little bit about your husband?
He is amazing. He is amazing, amazing, amazing. I feel so blessed and honored and privileged to be his wife. But he also feels the same way. And there's such a mutual respect and such a love. For a time, because I am a Leo, because I am very rebellious, because, I don't even understand the concept of like submission or any of that. I was like, dude, to Jesus, I just feel so privileged to marry someone who truly allows me to be me and doesn't try to manipulate my direction, who doesn't just accept me, but he loves me, and he supports me, he has my back, he teaches me, he allows me to teach him, he values and respects my opinion. It's just been a great experience, and I didn't know if I would get married or if I could get married, and then I thought if I do get married, I'm gonna feel like a caged lion, but I'll make it work.
Right.
And that's not how I feel at all. It's wonderful. Like, he just got back last night from doing Dr. Oz. And in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna get back before he gets back, so I'm just gonna be there when he gets there. And then my friend was having a karaoke party, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna stop by this first. And then he called me, he's like, I landed. I was like, oh man. And then, most husbands would be like, when are you gonna be here, And I was like, all right, honey, well, I'm gonna head out now. And he's like, why? And I was like, because you just got home. And he's like, but you're at a party. He's like, have fun. He's like, I'm gonna go to bed anyways. He's like, enjoy it, sing some karaoke. I'll see you when you get home, or I'll see you in the morning. And I love that, because most husbands would be like,
Trying
what
to
you trying
control
to do?
Right.
Yeah. So it's just beautiful to have the kind of relationship where it's like, it's also really your best friend.
Gotcha.
Are we
Changing the battery.
So in terms of okay, you got it.
You look like somebody else too. I'm trying to remember who it is. This actor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's gonna
I've
bug
never
me.
gotten that.
No, we're both like.
Sorry for walking. Okay.
Are we back?
Forget his name, but I'm gonna pull him up.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So in terms of I hate because I'm so into it. It's crazy because usually when you're interviewing somebody, it's like I'm just present.
Right.
So like I'm like, oh yeah, it's my turn to talk. So yeah, girl. So let's talk a little bit about the weight and just the process of making it. What sparked the idea of you guys doing the book together? Like, how did that come about?
Well, how it came about is, it was kind of an evolution, but before Devon and I were dating, I did an interview with Sister to Sister, and I said, the next person that I date, and I already knew that he was my husband, it just was months off before he was going to ask me out, but I said, the next guy that I date, I'm going to marry, period. I'm not dating anymore, I'm not having any more boyfriends, this is it. And we also talked about celibacy. And then when Devon and I did get together, then the conversation came up again about, well, are you celibate? And I was like, actually, yes, I am. And then it was like, well, how do you get a guy to do that with you? And I was like, well, he's celibate as well. And he had been celibate before me. And then just that conversation, when he would do interviews for other stuff that he had going on completely separate, they'd be like, well, we read your girlfriend said that, da-da-da, and then he would have to expand upon that. And then the conversation came up that he had been celibate for 10 years at that point, because he was in ministry and because he was preaching. He didn't want to be a hypocrite, be one thing on the pulpit and something else in life.
Right.
And so I think that really shocked people, because they were like, this girl who has kind of been known as like a sex pot for the past decade is now celibate. dating a guy who, yes, is an executive, but he's also a pastor, and she's doing Californication right now, and they're both celibate, and he's been celibate for 10 years. And so I think the way that it kind of evolved, it was just interesting to people. It was something that wasn't talked about a lot in the mainstream at all, and I think people just kind of gravitated to the story and the idea. And then I think you can't fake when you love somebody. You can't fake when something is just what it is. And I think people also were attracted to seeing the truth of what it was, even in the midst of us being celibate. And then I think, once we got married, it just has been such an amazing experience. And then there would be people who would come up to us and say, I'm celibate and da-da-da-da, and I'm working on this, I'm trying to figure this out. Or other married couples that would come to us, even though we'd only been married for a few months. And we just started thinking and feeling in our spirit that we needed to share our story, and we just needed to be transparent because it could help somebody else. And I think everything you go through life, both good and bad, are always good, because you can use what you've been through to help someone else and to inspire and encourage. So that was the thought with the book. It was like, listen, we're not being preachy, we're not telling you this is how you should live your life, this is what the Bible says. We're not doing any of that. We're saying this is what we did, and this proved to be a huge difference maker for us. And I've had relationships the other way, and doing it this way is something that has changed my life in essence, and blessed all areas of my life. I believe that God really honors obedience. And so basically that's kind of how it came about, and it took us over a year to write it because, we were filming and going everywhere and doing different things. We had to get together on the weekend to really just yeah. So, but it's been good.
So you guys are, because I posted this on my Instagram, but I have this picture of you divinely speaking and you're praising God in the back of him.
Yeah.
And it's, I was like, this is what happens when you meet a king and you literally, this is where you want him to take you.
Yeah.
I just feel like there has been, like I said, just you guys going out and preaching, and I know he does Bible studies, and then I know that you also are a part of those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you guys take that whole thing on the road? Are you guys out and touring with that?
It's kind of wherever it calls, and whatever you're supposed to be doing. I do a lot of speaking with young girls, and a lot of just speaking, keynote speaking, panels, stuff like that, all around the country. He preaches all around the country. He speaks, he keynote speaks, he motivational speaks, he does panels, we do panels together. We go wherever we're called and wherever we feel like we're supposed to be.
So if there's a little bit of rain coming back to you. So if there's a something that you have not played that you would want to play, what is that? I feel like you've done. I've seen a little bit of everything.
Yeah, thank you. More action for me. There's not a particular character, although by the grace of God, I'm getting ready to do Foxy Brown as a TV show.
That.
Yeah, so excited. I'm so hyped right now.
I feel like you put that in the universe. You were like, this is
what
you did.
What's weird is I was like, it's all been such an evolution, but I started saying I wanted to do action when I got Deception. And I got to do some action in Deception. And then I had started, I continued to I kept saying it, putting it out there. And then I did a deal with NBC, and I was looking for an action show. Couldn't find anything really, and the two things that I wanted, they wanted someone different and totally different everything for. And so I took the show with NBC, a different show, a comedy, but we left it open-ended. So if I did find something else, I could, do that or try to straddle both. And an opportunity came to do another TV show, and it was like the money was incredible, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And everyone was like, "What are you doing? Like, you gotta take this job. Like, this is like more money than you've made on anything. Like, this would be amazing for you." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not what I want to do, and I don't want to get locked into something and commit so much of my time, a year, to something that is not in my heart. I'm about quality of life. I'm not about money. You need money to live and survive. Money is good. I do appreciate it. I do, but it doesn't motivate me to make decisions about my quality of life." And so I said, "Listen, I'm believing God that the right thing is gonna come, and it's just gonna be the right thing, and I'm just gonna trust God for it. And, you know, pilot season was ending, and then I get a call about Minority Report. And they're like, we need you to come meet on the project now. And I'm like, I'm filming, I can't. And they're like, well, you have to come meet them if you want to get this job. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So we're calling around. Lo and behold, the offices that Minority Report was on the same lot that I was filming. So someone came over in a little golf cart, picked me up on my lunch break, which was 30 minutes exactly, took me over there, met with the producers. I got the job. Came back a few days later, and then I literally went on my lunch break to go test with Stark, who played, oh my brain just went. What character did Stark play?
Oh, I forgot.
This is terrible. Dash.
Dash.
I'm sorry, Stark. I love you so much. Dash show. And so I went and went and did the basically chemistry read with him, and then he got it, and then we were just like, you know. And the crazy thing about Minority Report is I got to do a bunch of action, one. Two, but it was a blessing because everything that I've done, even if like Deception went just a year, Minority Report just went just a year, it set me up for the next thing. So every time I do something, it's just the better next thing for me, you know? And so I just kept saying, I want to do action. And I've been praying about it. And one of the things Devon said, he was like, what are you doing about it? How are you meeting God halfway? And I was like, you're right. So then I started working out. I started learning Taekwondo. I'm gonna start stunt training next week. And basically I just have been like putting in the work. And then finally someone came up to me and they were like, I have a word for you. You know, and he was just like, what you want is not gonna come to you. You have to make it. And I was like, okay. They're like, you have to produce it. I was like, okay.
Yes.
So then I started taking meetings around town. And basically I wrote up a list of 10 characters that I would have loved to have played. And the first one was Ripley from Alien, that Sigourney Weaver played. And the second one was Foxy Brown. And I went in and met with this gentleman named Tony Kratz, who's amazing. And he was like, I think this is a great idea. And then we pulled up the trailer, and then we kind of looked over it, and they're like, well, Halle Berry and other people are trying to do it as a movie, and it hasn't worked out. And I'm like, yeah, but no one's ever tried to do it as a TV show, you know? And so we got an incredible group of writers, Malcolm and Ben, who are incredible and who are genius. And I feel so grateful to have them be a part of this. And we put together the pitch, and then, you know, Devon came on board, helped produce it, and which gives me so much peace because I know there's someone in there that completely has me. And then someone who also shares the same vision that I have in terms of how I want to project a show that is mine, where, you know, even as a Christian, I can say that there are certain things I want to make sure are shown, and there are certain things that I would like to achieve. I want this to be very women empowerment. I want this to be very justice for the underdog. I want little girls, little brown and black girls. I mean, little girls, period, in general, but, you know, our little girls don't have any superheroes to look up to.
You're right.
So I want that for them. But a tangible superhero, something you could actually be or do.
And
you
relate
know?
to.
Yeah, so we pitched it for MGM, and they were like, okay. And then we went around town, pitched it, got a few offers, decided to go to Hulu, and now we're in development. And by the grace of God.
Yes. Yes. So is that what's on the horizon? Is it like more producing, more like now that you've just, it came to you, you're like, man, listen, I can do this.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah, this is, for me, it'll be the first thing TV-wise that I've produced. I've produced films before,
Right.
but it's still an evolution. You know, when the first film I produced, I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, I got some gum and some lint and a quarter. Let's make this happen. And it took us 9 months to shoot the movie because we could only shoot it over the weekends. And it started off as a short, and it became a film. And when we finished it, it's called Miles from Home. When we finished it, we did a bunch of film festival circuits, and people just loved the movie. And it was actually that movie that made Devon say, oh wow, I've never seen her in this character before. Yeah, I would love to meet her, bring her in for a general 6 years prior to us getting together.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. So is there something that you won't do? Okay, so I know that the whole thing with you being, because you're beautiful, right?
Thank you.
So Meagan is beautiful. You know what I mean? Miss
Thank you.
Franklin is popping.
Thank you.
Is there, you know, I know that came up like with you getting a lot of flack from just being sexy on the red carpets or whatever because you're young and you're beautiful and you're supposed to have on dresses that fit your body or whatever. But how do you feel about Christians, or what would you say to Christian people that feel like you can't be sexy, or Christianity? Because you guys make Christianity look sexy. Like
I hope so.
I'm telling you, like on the beach, that Dead Sea, that whole,
Thank
they're
you.
all on the stand with abs, and
Thank
I was
you.
like, well, look at this. So you guys make it look really cool and really sexy to be Christian. So what would you say to those people that feel like?
Well, one, we don't do that intentionally.
Of course.
We just try to be authentic.
Yes, are.
And I think that, thank you.
Mhm.
And I think that being authentic, it makes me happy if we make it look cool. Because I want those cool kids that will never step a foot in church because of how they've been treated by church people, or because of how they view religion, or because how they view some Christians. Those kids that will never step foot in church, I hope that because it looks different on someone else, that it makes them be open-minded and open-hearted and take out their Bible and start praying and saying, okay, this isn't what I thought it was. This actually looks a little different than what I thought. Maybe they're not judgmental. Maybe they are loving. Maybe they are awesome. Maybe they're cool. Maybe they're normal, you know? And when I say normal, I don't mean not set apart. I just mean not the type of people who look down on you, that some Christians, we make ourselves look like the most judgmental people in the world when we're supposed to be the most loving people in the world. So we end up being a walking contradiction. And that, to me, to some degree, is a little embarrassing, you know? But then again, I'm sure some of them are embarrassed me.
Right.
So that's fine, you know? But for me, I just say, you know, people always talk about appropriate. Appropriate's subjective.
Right. It's all right.
In Ireland, it's appropriate for men to wear a skirt without underwear. In Africa, it's appropriate for women to walk around without anything on their breast. You know, in France or Paris or wherever, it's appropriate to walk around on the beaches completely naked, and it's not salacious. It's literally appropriate. You know, I think it's objective to culture, your culture. I think it's objective to your upbringing. I think it's subjective to, you know, where you grew up, you know, what you were taught, what you've experienced personally, specifically. I think it's very objective, and I think that you have to figure out what it is for you. And then you have to pray about it, and you have to be like, Lord, let me know if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know, and I will do something different. But if I don't feel wrong in my spirit, and I don't feel convicted, I'm not going to do something different just because people think that I should. I think that people waste a lot of time and energy pointing out how I dress instead of saying, and I'm not looking for accolades, but instead of saying, wow, she's doing a lot of stuff with young girls, you know, they're trying to do this thing with the weight, they're trying to put things back into the community, they're trying to help over here, they're loving on people, like, and again, I don't want accolades for that, I think, but we need to lift each other up in love and focus on the positive things, because some of the negative things, you're just going to agree to disagree, because I'm never going to agree unless God tells me something different, or unless I feel different in my spirit. And maybe it's a now thing, maybe it's a seasonal thing, maybe I'll mature out of it, and that's what it is. Or maybe I won't mature out of it, it's not a maturity thing, it's just who I am, you know? But I'm open to however God wants to move. But in this season, as I will in every season, I will always be true to myself, I will always be authentically me, and I will always reach authentically who I am supposed to authentically reach and uniquely reach. And that girl looks like me, and that boy looks like me. And that boy was kicked out of the church because he's gay. And that girl was kicked out of this place because of how she dresses, or because somebody perceives her different than who she truly is at the core, or because people judge her, or because people bully her, or because she's the underdog, whatever it is. Those kids, they look like me. And I speak to them just because I'm authentic. If I do something different, I now can no longer speak to them because I can't relate to them and they can't relate to me. But I relate to them, so I'm going to keep being me. I'm going to keep doing me. I'm going to keep my eyes on God and keep walking forward. And I'm going to keep loving the stone thrower, period. You know, no matter what somebody says, no matter how sometimes evil people come at me, or how people come at me in self-righteous love.
I just don't see how people can do that. Do you see this woman? She is just like, I don't see how people can be that way, and just, you know, that you still get that type of, you know, that
I get it daily. But it has made my character better because I'm a lover regardless. Even if someone does something to me, I'm the first one to apologize and the first one to say it's all good. Even if I only deal with them from a distance at that point, I still love them. I still care about what happens to them. I still will be there for them. I'm just not going to hang out with them or spend time with them or have them in my life consistently. But for me, having to determine in my heart that I love this person even though they said that to me, even though they tried to embarrass me, even though they tried to humiliate me, even though they think that they're coming at me in love, but what they're saying, I'm not even going to call it judgment. It's just sometimes it's just not your place, you know, or you could be wrong, you know, or that doesn't really matter. That's not the focus. Like, Jesus is not about the dress that I wore on the red carpet. Jesus is about love, period, point blank. And that's our only responsibility. Even if it pertains to people who are gay, it's like, that's not your place. That is God's child. God loves him. God loves her. Period, point blank. Everything else is between them and God. It's none of your business. You know? So, anyway, I can go on and on.
Don't have me. Don't
Don't
have me.
get me started.
Don't get me started. We're gonna wrap it up. I know. I feel, Joey, I feel you in the corner. Like, we got to go. All right. So let's just talk about this last. Can I talk about this Dead Sea visit? Okay. I just want to talk about this last. Really from you, because I wanted to just know how it. So let's just talk a little bit about
Israel.
Yes. How was
Yeah.
that? You said it was transformational. Like, how?
Yeah. You know, I went there. I'm a hippie, so I try to, you know, I'm abreast to a lot of things that are going on in the world. And then there's other things that I don't always overly pay attention because I think that media is intentionally trying to have us live in fear every single day, trying to have us stressed out, trying to have us walk around with all these things that are irrelevant to trying to make the world better and be better people. And so when I went to Israel, I was a little bit hip to some of what was going on, but I really didn't know the magnitude of just how deep the stuff with the Palestinians go. I hope I said that right.
Yes.
And okay, good. And you know, just what everything really was. And I wasn't aware of how really, truly, all these different religions, Christianity, Judaism, you know, Muslims, everyone lives together in a type of a unity that I've never seen before, where there's a mutual respect for everybody else's way of life, and they all live together. I had no idea that so many of the holy places there that were specifically places that I went to see as a Christian was the same place that a Muslim, literally, same place that a Muslim has, you know, their holy experience with something that happened there. And so it just was very eye-opening to better understand different religions, to better understand, you know, why people feel a certain way about Jesus, or why people feel a certain way about this or that, and actually how they all coincide. But to be able to tangibly touch it gave me a better understanding, and it gave me a better download, and it gave me a broader vantage point, and also I just, you know, I felt God there in some places, and then other places, you know, I felt other things, and it was just really, for me, about walking out the experience and really taking it in and getting what I was supposed to get from it, which was information, which was knowledge, which was wisdom, which was, I got a lot of authority when I left there. I feel a lot of authority in my spirit because I feel like I understand things in a complete different way. It was an incredible experience, and the people that I went with were just amazing. And I went with Sonika Green and her husband Kendrick Green, and she just got cast as the lead on Star Trek. It's the first Black woman to be a lead on Star Trek. So I'm super excited for her.
Congratulations.
I love her so much.
Yes.
She's so lovely. I never met them before. And we actually trained Grace Byers. We were going to go. Trey's the one who looks exactly like my husband. So he looks like my husband. I know you, Trey, because he's younger than my husband.
Yeah.
So I'm a husband to your first. So he looks like my husband to me.
They look like twins, really.
Yeah.
They look like twins.
So yeah. So they were supposed to come, and then they weren't coming. We were like, oh man, what couple are we going to hang out with? And then we met them, and then everybody else turned to be lovely. Like Mark Pellegrino and his wife were incredible. I mean, everybody on the trip was so lovely, from so many different walks of life, so knowledgeable. It tripped me out how knowledgeable people were. Like we'd be somewhere and Mark would be like, yeah, but in the Bible it says this, blah, 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 and he would just know it. But then he'd also know geographically, and he'd also know scientifically, and it was like, it's very cool. It's an incredible experience.
Ms. Franklin, we certainly thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
This was a pleasure. No, really, you have to come back and do it again. Next time we'll have a little fun, a little more fun. I don't know in which way we can turn up for Meagan, but we will.
Let's turn up.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Really, to see you grow has been really inspiring. Like I feel inspired today. I hope you guys feel that as well. But I really do. I feel inspired. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
And
having
thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And Meagan, you want to say anything?
me.
Anybody? Give me your last words of wisdom.
Last words of wisdom.
Yes.
You are capable of anything. You are God's perfect creation. You are God's perfectly imperfect creation. Know the sky's the limit. Remember that you are an original. There's nobody else in the world like you. You are unique, and you are special, and you are God's child. So go get it. And I think I already said sky's the limit, but I'm going to reiterate that. And yeah, I love y'all. God bless you guys. And see you next time.
And we're out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you so much. One last thing. Joey, I promise. That's it. This is all.
You're good. You're good.
This is it. I just want you to do some drops for the Real Network.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I need.
Okay.
'Cause you-
Go for it.
yes, awesome. Yay! Travis, you good over here? Okay. Woo! Thank you so much. I'm so
course.
grateful. I really am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. So, all right, Meagan, so I have two drops for you. One is, you are now watching the Real Network TV. Your name,
Okay.
and you are now watching the Real Network TV.
Okay.
So we'll do that one first.
Okay.
And then the second one is, you're watching what's
One at a time.
one at a time. Okay.
My little brain.
All right, I
I
got
need
you.
to be taking my ginkgo, but I've been off work, so.
Got you.
And you're watching the Real Network.
You are now watching
Yes.
Miss Franklin, or
Okay.
however you want me to tell.
I just say Megan.
Hey. And you are now watching the Real Network TV.
Okay.
All right. And I am rolling.
What's up, everyone? This is your girl, Meagan Good, and you are now watching the Real Network TV.
All right. Taking it right back in. Your name, and you are now watching What's Real in Black Hollywood.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I am rolling, Meagan, and action.
What's up, everyone? This is Meagan Good, and you are now watching What's Real. Ooh, I forgot
You
that.
are now watching What's Real in Black Hollywood.
You are now watching What's Real in Black Hollywood.
All right.